In today's video, we're going to be talking about the average cost of living in the beautiful city of Orillia, Ontario, where I live and work. Let's go. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning into my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thank you so much for the support as always. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting. It all helps the YouTube algorithm, helps me grow my channel to get these videos out to the masses. Your support is always appreciated, so thank you in advance. Now, as a quick introduction, if you don't know who I am, my name's Caleb Streeter. I'm a local realtor here in Orillia, Ontario. I also lead a small team. We focus on residential resale. I've won many local and national awards, having been named the #1 agent at my brokerage every year I've been there, as well as some larger awards like the top 35, under 35 in Canada 2 years in a row. And my goal with these videos is to either educate or entertain and inspire people along the way. So normally I talk all things real estate, but sometimes I get on and do a series called Word on the Street where I interact with strangers. Now let's get right to it. While you clicked on this video, and let's talk about the cost of living in Orillia, Ontario. When I look at the cost of living for any city, I look at a couple of different things. Things that are unique to the city themselves and things that are not so unique. So in Ontario, many cities are going to share similar costs like gas. Fuel prices are going to be the same mostly everywhere, and your coffee prices are going to be the same most everywhere. We do have our larger chains like Tim Hortons and Starbucks, but we also have our smaller mom and pop shops that serve, boutique coffee shops and stores like that, where the prices may be a little bit higher. And again, I think that this is going to be the same across the board. So I'm not going to talk about how much it costs to go buy food or go out to eat and things like that, because those are going to be very similar. What you want to know is, what are the costs unique to Orillia? So let's talk average sales prices. Let's talk average rent. Let's talk utilities. Let's talk property tax. Things like this that really do matter if you're considering moving to the Orillia area. So number one, let's talk average sales price. So it's no secret that the market blew up across the globe, especially in North America. And this was largely in part due to COVID because of a supply and demand issue. There now became more buyers than there were homes for sale, which means more than one person was interested in a listing at any given time, creating a bidding war, driving the prices up. We all know that, but what did it do to our average sale price? Well, our average sales price in December of 2021 for a single family detached home was as high as $795,000, which is unbelievable considering when I moved to Orillia to start a real estate company, the average sales price wasn't even $400,000. So in just a few short years, we've almost doubled our average home price, and that's just mind blown. That's just crazy. So it has come down since I'm recording this video in February of 2022, and the average sales price now for a single family detached home inside the city limits is $759,000. So it has come down a bit. Now, will this trend continue? I don't know. That's a separate topic, separate video. We're just talking about the cost of living. So if you were to consider a move here and you wanted to buy a house, there are many different options: condos and townhomes, single family, duplexes, triplexes, multifamily. You can get out into the country. Our rural settings here are beautiful. Oro, Ramera, Severn, all the way up to Gravenhurst in the Muskokas. There's lots of areas in which you can pick and choose to live for less or for more, but inside our city limits, if you're going to move here, you need to come with about an $800,000 budget to find what you're looking for if you have a family. And if you're just one person, well, then you can get yourself something less for less. Now, along with rising sales prices, that also changes rent. Unfortunately, the rent has skyrocketed. As an investor myself, I've seen homes that we've owned where we've set the rent, and even just inside of 12 months, we were severely under rented. We were not being paid what market rents were because the market was changing so quickly. Now, this creates a real challenge for investors, but anytime a home changes hands and changes ownerships, it normally changes tenants as well. And that's a chance to reset rent. And this has happened so much in a span of 24 months. To rent a 3-bedroom townhome was average $1,500 to $1,650 per month, and it's now well over $2,000. The average 1-bedroom apartment rental in Orillia is $1,395. That's the average. And you are north of $2,500 a month for a single family home with 3 bedrooms or more. Now, area plays a big role in how much you're paying, whether the house is new or not new. The walking score, If you're here for university, do you want to be close to your school so you can walk? Are you here to Georgian College? Do you work for the OPP? Are you a nurse at the hospital? If you don't drive, you can get a home close to one of these pockets, and they are going to cost you a little bit more. If you're willing to spread your wings and go out to the outskirts a little bit, then you can also rent for a little bit cheaper. So the same thing happens to rent that happens to price by location. The hotter the location, the higher the walk score, the higher the rent. Okay, let's talk about property tax and what Orillia property tax specifically looks like in comparison to other municipalities in the province of Ontario. Now, property tax is set by the municipality based on expenses, and there's a formula that they plug in and say we need X amount of dollars to do X amount for the city, whether that's capital costs, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's a reserve fund, or whether that's just the cost of upkeep for maintenance and roads and parks and rec and all this stuff, based on the number of residents and the number of homes. And then also MPAC, Municipal Property Assessment Council, goes through and assess market value of the home, and then they adjust the factor in which they multiply that by, giving you your property tax. So to make things easy, if the factor was 1, you would multiply your home's assessed value by 1%, and that would give you the property tax. So let's use a $1 million evaluation, or assessment rather. So if your home is worth $1 million and the property tax for your city is 1%, that's 10 grand a year that you have to pay to the city. So where does Orillia rank in the cities of Ontario? First of all, let's start with who's the lowest, and that's the City of Toronto. The City of Toronto has the lowest property tax base in all of Ontario at 0.61%. If you have a home assessed at $1 million in Toronto, you pay $6,100 annually to the city for your property tax. Now, Toronto also has things that offset those costs and different, fees, and also they're the only city in the entire province in which charges you twice for land transfer tax. That's right, they have a provincial land transfer tax as well as a municipal land transfer tax, which no other city in Ontario has, just Toronto. But we're here to talk about Orillia today, so let's get back to Orillia. So 0.61 is the lowest. The highest, by the way, is Windsor at 1.81. So if you had a $1 million home in Windsor, Ontario, assessed at $1 million, market value is totally different, could be worth 2.2 on the open market, but assessed at $1 million, you are paying $18,100 annually to the city of Windsor for your property tax. So their factors are, well, we need more money to maintain our city and things like that, and their expenses are such. The common misconception is, as assessed values rise, are your property taxes also going to rise at the same time? The short answer is yes, but it's not exactly what you would think. The cities, MPAC and the cities, they look at their expenses, and just because home values went up doesn't mean it's going to cost that much more to maintain roads or parks in your area. Doesn't mean the staff's wages have gone up. So home values may have risen, and they'll adjust their factors. So if Windsor's currently at 1.81 and home prices double, they may come down to 0.9. So that your property tax maintains in a relative similar manner to the inflation of the cost to run a city. I'm talking very basic here. I'm not an overly technical person, so I hope you're understanding what I'm putting down. But let's get right back to Orillia. We have a factor of 1.38%. We're not the highest, but we're by far not the lowest. We actually rank in the top 10 most expensive cities in Ontario for property tax, believe it or not. So we're right on par with London, Ontario at 1.38%. So what does that mean for your $1 million assessment? That means $13,800 will be your annual taxes. So is it cheaper to live in Toronto? Well, not really, because the average home price is considerably higher. Your utilities may be higher. The cost, the barrier to entry with your land transfer tax being double is higher. Your legal fees are no more, no less. But to get into the market and to maintain a home on a monthly basis is not any cheaper just because your property taxes are cheaper. There are things that will weigh out and balance out so that it ends up being very similar. But again, overall, it's the home price that really adds to your monthly cost if you are mortgaging a property. So property tax in Orillia, it's not the most attractive, but it isn't the worst either. And I think that we do a great job as a city at putting that money to work. Some may argue with me, some may agree with me, but I've been here long enough to see that the revitalization of the downtown and the implementation of things that are important to the people of the city, they're a city that listens, they hear our voices, and they make quick decisions and they get to action fairly quick. So I'm happy with where the money's going, and I'm happy with how they're spending it. I'm not totally displeased with the taxes, although I do wish they were lower, but hey, such is life. So that is your property tax average for the city of Orillia. All right, let's talk utilities. Utilities. This is crazy. I'm a full-time real estate agent, so I see utilities every single day. I'm looking at bills for downtown. I'm looking at bills for our North Ward. I'm looking at bills for waterfront owners. I see bills all the time, and I can tell you it is eerily similar across the board. I'm talking inside the city. I'll give you rural examples in a second, but inside the city limits, almost everything averages out to $100 a month. Check your own bills, you'll be shocked. So, water and sewer together averages $100 a month. Now, let's say an average single family home with 3 people. This is what I'm talking about. So, either families with 1 kid or, 3 adults or whatever. Single parents with 2 children. I'm gonna say an average of 3 people living in a home are spending $100 a month on water and sewer. Now, your hydro also averages out to be about $100 a month. Some higher, some lower, but this is an average. And then of course, natural gas is also $80 to $120. So let's call it again $100 a month. These numbers sound made up, but I assure you they are factual. And these are numbers that I am seeing personally. I'm not just taking somebody's word for it. So I have different clients with different usage requirements, some people that don't even live in their home full time, and they are all averaging about $100 a month, give or take, on these 3 main utilities. When you get out to the country, 5-10 minute drive outside of Orillia, you may not find natural gas. You may have a different internet provider. You may be on a well and a septic and therefore don't have water and sewer bills. And so there, your average utilities will greatly decrease or increase depending on whether you're burning oil or propane or you're on electric baseboard heat, which can be very costly, because then of course your bills are going to be significantly higher for electricity, and then you're not $100 a month, you're more like $400 or $500 a month, sometimes less, and I have seen more, up to $800 a month in the country. So you want to look at heat source, but also just for this video's purposes, the averages are about $100 for each: water and sewer, hydro, and natural gas. How close are you to an international airport? And this is where I feel Orillia has an advantage, because are there cities closer to Toronto International Airport, Pearson? Yes, but we're not far. From my door to Terminal 1 is about exactly 1 hour. Everybody thinks it's longer, but if you're doing 160 kilometers like I am, it's only 1 hour. I'm just playing. About an average of 110, 115 on the highway will get you there in exactly an hour door to door. So right from the city limits to Pearson's Terminal 1, you can be there inside of an hour. There's parking right on site, so you can travel with ease in a jiffy, and it's not really costing you that much to get there. So if you're driving yourself, of course, if you're using airport shuttle, it can get a little bit costly. But for municipalities like North Bay or Huntsville or Gravenhurst or Bracebridge that are north of us, or you're more into the country, or you're off of a main vessel. Remember, Orillia is right on Highway 11. It dissects our city, just like Highway 400 dissects Barrie. So if you're in Barrie or Orillia or anywhere in that Highway 11 400 corridor, you are quick and fast to the airport. So again, you don't have to add that to your cost of living or your consideration. It is just going to be your average fuel cost for 1 hour on the road on an average of 110 kilometers an hour. And there you have it, the average cost of living in Orillia, Ontario. I hope you found this video informational. I hope that you found it useful, and that if you're thinking of making a move up this way, that you could use this information to aid in your decision. Of course, you can always call me or somebody on the team by visiting streeterteam.ca, and you can check out our team and contact one of our realtors if you have questions about Orillia. We are all very knowledgeable about the area because everybody on the team lives and works right here. We are local. Thank you again for tuning in, and we're going to catch you guys next time. Cheers.